states, because we know that that's all about the chi in the blood and the opening and the charging of all of the chi and blood. So I thought, if anything, that is going to show us a different manifestation of what physically acupuncture can do. My philosophy, I don't do with pain. I do palpation, but I use an oscillating rod. This oscillating rod is attached to a little actuator. There's no electricity going through it, it's just a conduction. And now I always say to my clients, look, if you had 2 kids and you screamed and shouted at a kid nose to nose, they would do something out of fear, but you've got more chance of it playing up later on in life.
Skin or dermatology is definitely something I'm not really good at. That is for sure. And today I have a guest, Marie Reynolds from the UK, who is going to blow your mind with her knowledge. She's like a science geek mixed with TCM geek, mixed with quantum energy. We talked about Bowen therapy. We talk about oscillation, bioresonance, colonics and hydrotherapy, ozone therapy, and all the tools she used for skin disorders. You are going to love this woman. And if you don't know about her, you will sure know of her from now on. Let's go. My guest today is Marie Reynolds, and we have met because she created a reel on Instagram that people tagged me on it and said, you gotta check this out. So I went and checked it out, and it was amazing. It blew me away. So what I loved about that reel, we're going to discuss it in a minute, but before we do, I really appreciate, Marie, you coming on the show. So welcome to the AcuPro Show today.
Honestly, Clara, it is such a pleasure and an honor to be asked. And I'm just thrilled that you got to see the reel.
It was fantastic. I'm going to give a quick introduction and then I'll talk about the reel. Marie is practicing across the pond for me in the UK. For over 35 years, she has been mostly in the skincare industry, where she really is knowing what she's talking about, which I'm looking at your Instagram and I'm like, the things you do are fascinating. And I have so many questions, specifically because skin is something I struggle about treating or addressing skin issue when it comes to patients coming for a skin issue. It's something I'm not well versed at, and I feel I don't have enough knowledge. But the reel you did, which people tagged me on, was you took a blood sample from a patient prior to acupuncture, and then you put it under microscope, and you obviously recorded this. And then you did the 4 gates, liver 3, large intestine 4, just 4 points, retained the needle for about 15, 20 minutes. And then you took another video of the blood sample after the treatment. And it was mind-blowing how brighter the blood cells were, how more oxygenated they were, how less clumpy they were, more moving rapidly, they were looser and happier looking kind of thing. And that I shared, with your permission, on my IG page, and it got 44,000 views because everyone was just like, that is just so cool, because we do still get some people saying, oh, it's placebo. And I'm like, well, it works on animals and animals don't know we're trying to help them. But you showing the blood sample was so perfect to showcase the amazing benefit of acupuncture. Do you have a whole setup with a microscope and video to take the blood cell? How do you even do this in the first place?
I'll give you a bit of background. I've been in the skincare industry for a long time, but alongside that, I've studied many other different modalities, one of which is quantum medicine, so energy medicine, in the form of where I take people's sample of their blood, just a tiny pinprick of their blood. They send it to me from all over the world, and then I scan it for energetic frequencies and then look at what frequencies may be causing energetic imbalances, because we all know that any energetic blocks create physical manifestation, and that runs across the board of all complementary medicines. When you talk about energy medicine, people can bastardize it and then they can make it into something that it's not, and it just really frustrates me. I also did live blood analysis. Live blood analysis is when you actually take a tiny little, again, pinprick of the blood and you pop it under the screen and you look at different things like how the blood forms, the red blood cells. So we have echinocytes and we have the different white blood cells, and we look at the different pathogenic environment of the plasma. And then we advise accordingly of what supplements may help their diet and their lifestyle, which we know when we do a consultation is all part of our process. But I thought, do you know what? I am going to do some experiments. I was doing this live blood analysis before and after these treatments of hyperbaric chamber and a colonic hydrotherapy, a total body detox with ozone. And I thought, I'm going to do acupuncture. I'm going to do the 4 gates because we know that that's all about the chi in the blood and the opening and the charging of all of the chi and blood. So I thought, if anything, that is going to show us a different manifestation of what physically acupuncture can do. And wow, it absolutely blew me away. The movement and the changing of the bloods from echinocytes, where you get that toxicity, from stress, from emotional trauma or anything like that, it affects the bowel. It changed. So it actually changed the shape. They've got more energy. You actually saw that chi moved blood and the brightness of the white blood cells and the change in the plasma. And actually, you got 44,000 views. I got 250,000 views on the original one. It went nuts.
That's awesome. That's great for the medicine, for you, for everyone. That's awesome.
Yeah. Recently, I did the points for constipation. I had a lady that had issues with the bowel and constipation. So I just did stomach 40, Sanjal 5 with the different constipation points. And again, you can actually see the changes in the blood. I just get so excited because we all know as practitioners the benefits of acupuncture. But when you can actually physically see the changes in the blood and the lymph and the energy within the system of the body, it's just so exciting.
I agree. I think it's so exciting. I always call myself a TCM geek. I think you're a science geek because you're looking for things to show scientifically. I love that. We need people like you because what I like about you is you're very innovative and you have ideas and you're like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to see what that shows. That's really, really cool. I'm so happy we got connected because of this and also because it's such a great, powerful tool to share with patients. I think this is why you got 250,000 views because so many practitioners could share it and say, look at this. This is what happened when I do acupuncture. Not only that, but I think what I love about acupuncture is that it builds on itself. So you did 15 minutes, but imagine if we do it again and again and again, how the blood would change from week 1 to week 6, for example. That would be so massive if we saw someone twice a week, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many different manifestations of energy medicine, and I call it energy medicine or medicine of chi. Absolutely blows my mind. When I was taught acupuncture, there was 5 professors, Chinese professors, and each one specializing in different forms of acupuncture. And my mentor, Dr. Yi, who is absolutely amazing, he was very big on the palpation of the distal points, but he did it on grading pain. My philosophy, I don't do with pain. I do palpation, but I use an oscillating rod. This oscillating rod is attached to a little actuator. There's no electricity going through it. It's just a conduction. And I'll actually touch the distal points of what I want to palpate. And this oscillating rod will either go up and down for no or left and right to yes. So that tells me the absolute energetic block of that. And so I use that a lot in my method of picking up the energy of what your body needs right now. And not only the physical, I was listening to your podcast before and we were talking about the emotions in the bowel. I mean, that is so key. But also miasmas are really key, which are like muddy footprints from your genetic pathway, if we talk about the original source, the original chi. So looking at different things, and especially nowadays, we've got so many factors that impair that energetic process. We've got energetic frequencies from chemicals in the food, from heavy metals in vaccinations, from different products that we're using, along with our emotions and the different pathogenic forms that we intake. So, yeah, I'm very much on picking up on the different energetic palpation forms when clients come in.
I love that you do that because it's all about trying to connect with the patient to figure out what is going on with them. They can tell you so much, but sometimes they're not aware. They don't know. Then some people have a mind-body disconnection. So it's really hard for them to explain how they feel, what's going on. So if you have tools you can use to actually get to the root cause of the problem and look at even intergenerational trauma that's literally trapped in the cells and are showing up in symptoms or not, depending. Now, what I want to ask you, you have a skincare line and skincare product as well. Why did you get passionate and interested in skin of all the places and systems in the body? Why dermatology or skin was your go-to exciting thing to do?
If we turn that on its head, the skin was the very first thing that I was trained in. And I trained in all of the modalities, and it didn't really float my boat. And I thought, hang on a minute, the skin is the largest organ. It's a living, breathing organ. If we look at how embryology works, it's the outside in. And it's one of the main sensory organs that all of our physical manifestations show out. We've got the liver, we've got the spleen, we've got all the kidneys, we've got all of these things that manifest in skin conditions. So as I was going through all of these different things, I was taught in the different lasers and the different pills, all of the harsh things. One of the modalities that I learned was the Bowen technique, and the Bowen technique works on all the anatomy trains and the lines of fascia. I thought, hang on a minute, learning about the primitive streak, learning about embryology, learning about how these crest cells are forming, that we have to look at the bigger picture. And now I always say to my clients, look, if you had 2 kids and you screamed and shouted at a kid, nose to nose, they would do something out of fear, but you've got more chance of it playing up later on in life. But if you nurture and coerce and you love that child throughout, it will still do what it's meant to do, and you've got more chance of it looking after you in your old age. It's the same thing. So it's all about working with the body. So my skincare is not your conventional, well, anything I do is not conventional, but my skincare range is not your conventional normal, dry, oily skin type. I believe that fundamentally you feed the microbiome and you support the lipid barrier, but everything else is an internal factor. So what do we need to look at? That's why we've got the supplement range as well. So what do we need to look at when we've got acneic breakouts? Do we need to look at liver? Do we need to look at stomach? Rosacea, again, links with stomach. How the hormones and the metabolites move through the liver. So we have to negotiate with that. We also have to negotiate their diet, their lifestyle. And so I created this thing called the Opening Channels, and that is an 8-week program that the clients do. And literally, they get fantastic results. One of my many interests is foraging and collecting different herbs and roots and things like that. I always had this alchemy with, it started off where I used to treat lots of celebrities and beauty journalists, and one very well-known beauty journalist in the UK. She asked for one of my blends because she had a reaction on the skin. And she said, look, you need to bring that to market. And I thought, I just do not want to do that. That's like a beast that I don't even want to go down, because there's so many stability testings and then all of the government, all of the rigmarole, and it takes 18 months at least. Anyway, she drove me mad, so I did it, and it just flew. And I think people are coming round to the philosophy, and I think, as I say, it's action speak. Anybody can get on to a social media platform and say, this product does this and this product does that. But actually, I think when you can see and you've got the knowledge behind it, yeah, it does really well. I'm very proud of it. And we've got therapists in Ireland and all over the UK that use it as well.
That's awesome. I really like that you said, first of all, we have to feed the microbiome, which means that it's a TCM perspective. It's looking at the gut, the digestive system, which encompasses the large intestine, but also the spleen, the stomach. Like you said, rosacea is often a stomach issue. That 8 weeks program, what I like about it, it's not just about the external part and having skin product or just supplement. It's also diet. It's a holistic approach that encompasses more than one thing. And that's exactly it, because the skin reflects what's going on inside always, right? We all know that whatever happens on your skin comes from the internal part of us, and the skin shows it. Before we continue on the skin, because I think a lot of people are not familiar with Bowen therapy, could you explain a little bit how you use it and what exactly is Bowen therapy?
So Bowen therapy is one of those treatments that people go in and they think, what the hell is this? Because there are different trigger points or different stoppers that a therapist will do. And they'll just use the slightest movement and then they'll walk out of the room and leave you for 15 minutes. But basically what it does, it's aiming to reset the body back to the primitive state. So if you look at embryology, when the egg and sperm first meet, there's a spark. And then you get the first folding of that cell. And then you've got the primitive streak, or some people call it the finger of God, that comes up and it creates the durin, it creates the coccyx, and then everything comes from that. And we know within that first folding, that's when you get those crest cells that dart about the body and they form those little tiny, massive points with the tiny points in the ears. We've got lots of points of acupuncture in the ears. You've got the different points in the feet, all the different things, the pigments of our eyes. That's what the crest cells create. So Bowen therapy is aimed at doing these small little movements that create a piezoelectric current that runs through the fascia faster than the nervous system to reset the body. Have you ever read the book Spark in the Machine?
Yes, absolutely. Daniel Keown. Yes, of course.
Absolutely amazing. What he says and what he talks about, it was just like an epiphany for me. And I thought, oh my God, because he talks about anatomy trains, which are lines of fascia that run through the body. For example, you've got the superior back line. It's a line of fascia that runs from the frontalis, from the forehead, the back of the forehead, runs all the way down the back, all the way down the gastrocs, under things. Well, that's the bladder meridian. So it all matches all the different meridians. And actually, he says, look, if you fold a piece of cling film, it's that space in between the cling film. That is where the meridians run. That's where there's studies been shown that meridians run there. And so that when you do these or these little moves, it sends that spark up through the channels and it helps to reset the body. It engages with the cerebral spinal fluid and it resets the body. So all of these different modalities, they all have a common thread, which is energy, prana, life force, all of that. It has that energy. And it's just negotiating of how these energy blockages occur. You have amazing results with it.
I also like the fact that you talked about fascia and the corresponding meridian, which is exactly what science is showing more and more. This is why you're such a science geek. I love that. And you explained Bowen therapy so well. That's the best explanation I've ever heard about Bowen therapy, because I've tried it and I've had someone doing it on me and I absolutely loved it. But that explanation was on point. You do dermal resonance. Resonance to me sounds like chi, energy, all this. So what is dermal resonance?
Dermal resonance was something that I came up with because obviously with the skincare, I can imprint frequencies within. So basically you will send me a little drop of blood on an organic piece of paper and then I will test it for frequencies that may support your body. Okay, so that could be supporting your body through menopausal systems or different menstrual cycles or different collagen frequencies. And then what I do is I put a different lead in the product and your blood in the machine, and it will actually imprint the frequencies into those products that match the DNA frequencies of you. So that is dermal resonance. You can even imprint acupuncture points. Each acupuncture point has a different frequency. You can actually, if you've got a frequency like a pain around the knee or anything like that, you can imprint the frequencies of those acupoints to do with pain around the knee into that oil that will help with that, because it's the same sort of thing. And when you've got some sort of negative frequency, let's just say you've got a frequency that's causing you to not sleep very well, a frequency that may be imbalanced or a pathogenic frequency, that we invert. So that's just like the opera singer and the glass. When the opera singer meets the frequency of the glass, it shatters. That's what inversion frequencies do. Dermal resonance is about imprinting the frequencies that help the skin, but it absorbs them through the skin through the oil.
That's really cool. And is it specific oil?
No, I mean, it can be anything. I just use my oil because we've got coconut oil, which is a natural analgesic, got rich in vitamin C, so it's really conditioning. So it's very, very good for the skin integrity in general. But it's amazing for scarring because I do a lot of scar work as well. I do cosmetic acupuncture for that, for the scarring, for acne scarring and things like that. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Since I started AcuPro Academy, many people have asked me to offer a cosmetic acupuncture online course. However, I do not practice it, but I found the perfect person for that. My friend and colleague, Dr. Rebecca Stevens, has created a course that is easy to digest, very practical, and provides a wealth of knowledge. You can diversify your practice and increase your earnings while delighting your patients by adding cosmetic acupuncture, or sometimes called facial rejuvenation, to your repertoire. This course contains everything you need to start practicing facial acupuncture immediately upon completion. Listen to what people who invested in this course had to say. I was excited to take this course in order to add facial acupuncture to my services and was blown away by Dr. Rebecca's knowledge. She is calm and explained everything so well. She obviously has a lot of experience in the area, and I can't wait to start utilizing this new skill on my patients. I would highly recommend this course. Here's another one. This is a great course. Everything was well explained, but without being repetitive. The video demonstration was so well paced, clear, and complete. It definitely made me feel more confident to practice cosmetic acupuncture. Thank you, Dr. Stevens. If you ever wanted to offer cosmetic acupuncture to your patient as an alternative to Botox and other chemicals, this is the course for you. Go to AcuProAcademy.com and click the TCM course on the menu tab, or check out the link in the show notes below.
I was looking at one of your reels this morning, and someone that had a really traumatic dog bite on their face, and you were showing what happened before and after. And one of the things you did is you used magnet. We don't learn magnets in Chinese medicine school here in North America. So can you explain a bit what the magnets would do for the healing of the bite and the skin and the scarring? And is that helping with that perspective?
Absolutely. So the magnets are from a company called Chi Beauty. They are a company based in Australia, and they use the magnets a lot for Bell's palsy and for lifting the face and also draining excessive chi from the skin for rosacea. So basically, there are specific matrix that you do. So if you think about the magnets are made of gold. So gold is a natural antioxidant anyway, and it's very rejuvenating for the skin. It's been used for centuries, especially in Egyptian times. But the magnets themselves, they have a positive and negative polarity, and so do our cells. So it is very receptive, and it draws chi into the area. And we all know that when chi and blood comes to an area, it also brings oxygen and nutrients. So very rejuvenating and very healing. So the magnets are placed in specific matrices. So you have reservoirs and tiny little circular patterns that you create to either intensify the chi or drain the chi out. So for example, if you've got somebody with acneic skin or rosacea, you want to drain that chi out so you keep it open. With scar tissue, you run lines along the scar. Now you can do double chain. When you double chain, it strengthens the ability to either drain out or bring that energy back into the skin to lift and firm. So there are different matrix. You can either lift, tone, firm. You can use it on the neck. You can use it with, as I say, scarring to help drain that excessive chi in there, to help loosen that collagen, because we know that when chi is stuck, the collagen fibers begin to bundle. So it helps to flow that chi out. I tend to team it up with intradermal needles as well, and a facial treatment called the fusion. So that is when I put all of the micromagnets over the face, and then I put a microcurrent mask on, which is conductive. And then I'll put specific points on the face, and then I'll attach actuators to the mask that floods the skin with microcurrents. So it really boosts and intensifies that ability to flood chi into the skin. So the lady with the dog bite, that was horrendous. It was just really traumatic for her. Yeah, did fantastic results with the Chi Beauty micromagnets and the intradermal needles. And I also did something called deep oscillation, where the client holds an actuator and the electrostatic energy comes from her into the machine, and it comes out through my hands. So her energy goes through the machine and it comes out through my hands, and it oscillates. It just helps to clear metabolic waste from the lymphatic system.
I want to go to England and I want to watch you do all this, because you have so many tools in your box, so many great tools that I've never used in practice. Again, because I don't do a lot of skin, but even though
it's just fascinating. I love it. You're like, and then I got the magnet, I got the oscillator, I got the electro stimulation that comes in. And, I'm like, this is just mind blowing. You are totally a TCM geek of the future with science all around.
My favorite thing to do is obviously I do colonic hydrotherapy, and we know that disease forms in the gut. But when we're talking about emotions, there's been some times when people just hold on to their stool. People think when they come for a colonic, they're going to have a colonic and everything just goes, but that's not how it happens. I have a client that comes in regularly, and I just said to her, look, she was going through some issues and she was really frustrated with her son. I said, look, you're holding on to that anger and frustration. Now, I know there's gallbladder points in the leg, gallbladder, especially around gallbladder 34, around the knee. I use gallbladder 34 a lot to help with movement, because obviously with Xiaoyang, it helps with the Zhangjiao pathways for movement and getting things flowing. And often, as soon as I put that in, bang, you get a release. It's absolutely amazing. But I was actually working on that as I was talking to her, and I said, look, you just need to let that anger go. She wasn't releasing what I wasn't releasing. And then bang, the colour that came out was like wood green. It was just definitely that wood element, that anger, that frustration. And again, it's happened time and time again. That is another physical manifestation of what acupuncture does.
Oh, I'm so with you. First of all, I love gallbladder 34 for moving chi, for moving everything and letting go. And often, because the gallbladder is also related to decision-making and self-esteem and self-doubt and all this. So gallbladder 34 really helps process that. I've had colonic hydrotherapy quite a few times because I absolutely love that therapy. So for people that are not familiar, the way it was done for me, and you could tell me if you do it differently, the practitioner basically, when you get there, of course we have a consultation, but we are going to have a hose that is put up through the anal area, and gentle water, warm water, will flood the rectum and go in there for as long as she did it. I can't remember how long it was, and you can tell me that. And then we sit there, and then she gave me a bit of an abdominal massage, and we let the water do its job. And then we take, obviously, the hose out. And most people think, oh my God, something's going to happen. It's all going to come out. But nothing does until you're ready, like you said. And eventually you're ready to let go. And then you can go sit on the toilet and everything comes out. And you're basically cleaning the colon. So you can tell me if that's how it goes. And then I have more further question on that.
Okay, so yes, that is how it goes. I do it differently. So I have a colonic hydrotherapy with a Zytoscan, where you can put your hand on a little handheld machine. And then what that does, it gives a galvanic skin response. So what it does, it throws energetic markers at the body, and it tells what energetic markers are out of play and what supplements will help to bring it in. Then take the client into the colonic room, and I will then energetically palpate. So I get my little oscillating rod, and we can see where there's impactions around the bowel, whether we've got ascending colon, splenic flexure, etc. Then I energetically get them to hold different homeopathic remedies, and I energetically test different remedies or different herbs, and I will put the herbs into the colonic hydrotherapy. So that's not an enema, it's just a little added bonus I like to do. I then give them essential oils on a piece of paper, because obviously we know the importance of the lung and the large intestine. It's important for the breathing. So I always engage in rosemary or eucalyptus or ginger, depending on what analytical type they are. I get them to breathe, do very deep abdominal breathing. The speculum will go in, then I get them to turn on their back, and then I will do abdominal massage. However, some people don't like to be touched. They don't like the abdominal massage. So that is another indication. Then I will go to the distal points, and I'll either do acupressure and doing either clockwise or anti-clockwise movements, depending on deficiency or excess. And I'll throw in my needles, which I love to do, and then I'll manipulate them, especially gallbladder 34. I'll manipulate gallbladder 34. And sometimes you don't even need to do the abdominal massage. I do like to do the massage because I like to manipulate the liver a little bit, get that going. We have different reactions. I mean, sometimes people don't have a reaction because that's indicative whether it's their first time, they get very nervous and anxious, whether they just hold on to their crap, because people do, they hold on to crap emotionally and physically, whether they're very severely dehydrated, or whether they are severely constipated, because you can still be constipated and have loose stool. There's many reasons why people don't release on a first time. However, often what we aim is that you can get either a liver flush, so the water goes bright yellow. You can get a gallbladder flush, so the water goes like a woody greeny colour. Sometimes you get little stones, little tiny bits of gravel that comes out. Pathogens, so sometimes you can get worms, little flukes and worms that come out, which freak people out, but everybody's got them. You know, in 1 gram of poo, you've got 100 parasite eggs, 1,000 parasite cysts, 1 million bacteria, and 10 million viruses in just 1 gram of poo. So people freak out about parasites. And then obviously, you know, they go to the bathroom. And then I also do something called the total body detox. So that's where they had what I've just said, but they'll have an enema alongside that. And the enema are usually from the herbs that I've picked myself, grown myself, picked myself, dehydrated. So mugwort, artichoke, milk thistle, organic coffee, wheatgrass, all of these things that you can have. And then after the colonic and enema, they go and have a release, and they come back in and then have ozone insufflation. And what that is an unstable form of oxygen that is passed up the rectum. That ozone kills all bacteria, viruses, and nasties in the bowel, and also forces oxygen into the bloodstream. So it's almost like a mini hyperbaric for the bloodstream. Very, very good for cognitive function. But of course, that's going to wipe out your good bacteria as well. So after the ozone insufflation, that's in for about 15, 20 minutes, you have a probiotic implant. So that is where I implant 24 billion live cultures directly into the bowel via the rectal cavity. And you feel absolutely amazing.
I'm coming over to England just to get that. Because I absolutely love. I know, I love colonics, but yours is such a more extensive way and so well-rounded with the probiotics and the enema and everything. And this is just so cool. I just love it. So being on the colonics, just a little bit more talking about poo. I love how you said I have lots of crap facts. That's fantastic.
One of my taglines is I want the taboo out of talking about poo. And I deal with everything from how you chew to how you poo and everything in between.
Excellent. It's so true because it's so important. Like you said, we just had a podcast a few months back, which was about gut health, and we talk about poo a lot. But I love that you're doing colonics because, like you said, the lung and the large intestine are connected, obviously, through the immune system, but also through sadness, through skin, because they're in the metal element, they're related to skin, which is kind of like your wheelhouse. So obviously you had to do hydrotherapy or colonic hydrotherapy because it is also going to help the skin. Now, when you do colonics, do you see an improvement with skin issue or in the skin altogether?
Oh my God, absolutely. Almost immediately. The skin is literally glowing. Eyes are like ting bright. The hydration of the skin. And when we're talking about the microbiome, it's not only the microbiome of the bowel, it's the microbiome of the skin. So the epidermal flora and fauna. There's a product that I've created called Restore, and that has probiotics, 8 different probiotics that deal with all of the different flora and fauna of the skin. And it is absolutely phenomenal. So it's really important to understand that the flora and the fauna of the bowel is also important. Biosis, leaky gut, all of these different things. And also moods, like you said, serotonin, 80% of serotonin is made in the bowel. You've got 80% of your immunity that's made in the bowel. And also parasites. Parasite cleanses are so important. You know, we deworm our animals every 3 to 4 months. We should be doing it ourselves, you know, under the full moon, do it.
That is so true. I have a dog and he gets dewormed and we don't do that to ourselves. And I never thought about it, but that's just such a great point. I see you and I look at you with such awe because I feel like you're pairing perfectly ancient medicine with modern times and modern tools, and you found a way to do it in a seamless way that seems so exciting to me. I know you also do aromatherapy. Do you use aromatherapy on specific acupuncture points, let's say ginger on pericardium 6 for nausea, for example? Do you do that, and how do you go about it?
I used to do clinical aromatherapy years and years ago, and I actually used to do lectures. I don't necessarily use that so much now. I only literally use just a few essential oils, in the colonic hydrotherapy because my energy medicine blows my mind. The energy in the quantum medicine, because Einstein spoke about energy. We know energy is E equals MC squared. We know that energy then forms into matter. And people can't understand that if I had, say, let's just say your blood spot, how can I treat you when you're on the other side of the world? Identical twins share each other's pain. They could be at other ends of the country and one's having a tooth pain while the other one's having a tooth out at the other end of the country. And it was believed that Einstein coined this as the twinning theory because it was believed that identical twins shared the quark in the uterus. Now, the quark is the smallest energetic component in your DNA. So when you send me your blood cells I'm not interested in is the quark within that DNA. And that's like your twin. One of my mentors that was always asking me about this energy medicine, and he didn't really quite get into it because they're obviously very traditional in their concept. And he had a client who had a poorly dog. And I said, why don't you do it distancing? And he said, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can. I said, ask your client for a picture of the dog. I said, and this will be a good test for you. So the client sent the picture of the dog. And I said, now you just put your needles where you think what acupuncture points the dog needs. And let's just see how it happens. And he got this message from the lady. She said, I don't know what you've done. I don't know how you've done it, but the dog has picked up unbelievably. And that's how the energy medicine is to do with quantum. Yeah, we're all connected through string theory. So anybody can do it. It's absolutely amazing.
String theory, the quantum energy field, everything, we're all connected. We're all one, the whole universe. And when people understand that, then they can see how we all connect. And like I said, you are a scientific geek using modern way of thinking with the older medicine and pairing them perfectly. If anyone, because I have a lot of people that listen that are practitioners or students, would want to know or to practice more medicine that is going to be energy medicine, where would they go? How would they learn this? How do you learn that?
I've been doing it for many, many years, and I've picked up different things through Bowen, the Bowen technique. So there is a really good Bowen company called Bowen Association UK or Botech. Botech is a worldwide one, and that's the original one from Tom Bowen. From the energy medicine side, I use bioresonance from ReguMed. So bioresonance, that's where you do the oscillating rod. That is like a wormhole. You start something with that and you go into a deep, deep, deep wormhole. If you want to do the live blood analysis, there are live blood analysis training. I did one in the UK, but they do online training for that, for therapists. But obviously, you do have to have your ANP and your practitioner qualifications.
You are such a wealth of information. I so appreciate you coming in, sharing your experience, your knowledge, your expertise, and all the therapy you combine in order to support patients. Thank you for coming in today. You do have a podcast called Good Vibes Only, which that's the best name ever. We'll have it linked in the show notes. I can't wait to come on your podcast and hopefully give you back all the love you give to my audience. So thank you so much.
Oh my God, listen, it will be a pleasure. It has been a pleasure. And I just want to celebrate you and all of the wonderful work that you're doing. I bought your books. I love your books. I'm dyslexic, so the visuals of your books is amazing. From one practitioner to another, you are amazing. And thank you for what you're doing. You're an inspiration to many and honestly, brilliant. So thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to have you on my podcast.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly hope you benefited from this episode, and I would love for you to share it with a friend that may benefit from it as well. Follow the show, leave a review, and if you want more, go to my website, AcuProAcademy.com. I have tons of resources there with treatment protocols, case studies, free courses, and so much more. And connect with me on all social media at AcuPro Academy. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, Pinterest, and LinkedIn and TikTok. And no matter what, keep rocking it using TCM. Please listen to the disclaimer, because the AcuPro Show podcast and materials shared through AcuPro Academy, which is a subdivision of Natural Health Sense Incorporated, are designed solely for educational and entertainment purposes. The utilization of information from this podcast or any associated material is at the user's discretion and risk. This content is not meant to replace the guidance of an acupuncturist, Chinese medicine doctor, medical doctor, physician, or any qualified professional, nor is it a substitute for proper diagnosis or treatment. Users are strongly advised not to ignore or postpone seeking medical advice for any existing medical condition with their healthcare professional regarding any health concerns.